Welcome to Facts to Relax, a quiet space at the end of a long day where you can gently let everything go. There is nothing you need to solve, nowhere you need to be, and nothing expected of you in this moment. Allow your shoulders to soften, your jaw to unclench, your breath to slow just a little. Inhale slowly and exhale even more gently. Let the day drift further away with each breath out, like distant waves fading into the night. Here, you can simply listen and rest your mind as calm, quiet stories unfold, guiding you toward stillness, toward ease, and toward a peaceful sleep. Tonight, we trace a gentle path through time, following the story of how humans learned to capture sound, to hold it, and to listen again whenever we desired. Before there were devices, before wires or signals or streaming waves, there was only the human voice carried on the air, heard once and then gone. For most of history, sound was fleeting, a song was sung, and then it disappeared. A story was told and lived only in memory. Music existed, but only in the moment it was played. Voices existed, but only as long as breath allowed. In the early 19th century, scientists began to wonder, could sound waves be made visible? Could they be traced or measured? Could they be preserved? In 1857, Edouard Léon Scott de Martinville created the phonograph. It did not play sound, but it could record it visually. A vibrating membrane connected to a stylus drew sound waves onto soot-covered paper. For the first time, sound left a visible trace, but it remained silent. The phonograph could show what sound looked like, but not bring it back. Still, it was a beginning. 2 decades later, in 1877, Thomas Edison introduced a remarkable invention, the phonograph. It was a simple device, yet revolutionary. A rotating cylinder wrapped in tinfoil, a needle, and a horn. When someone spoke into the horn, the vibrations of their voice moved the needle. The needle etched those vibrations into the surface of the spinning cylinder. Sound transformed into physical form. And when the process was reversed, the needle traced those same grooves, and the sound returned. A voice captured, stored, and played again it must have felt almost magical. To hear a voice long after it was spoken. To listen again to something that had already passed. The phonograph marked the beginning of recorded sound. Soon, improvements followed. Emile Berliner introduced the flat disc, replacing the cylinder with a record. These discs, made of shellac and later vinyl, could be mass-produced. Music, once tied to a place and time, became something portable. People could bring songs into their homes. They could sit quietly and listen. The gramophone, with its spinning disc and gentle crackle, became a centerpiece of early listening. Families gathered around the machine, watching it turn as music filled the room. There was a ritual to it. Placing the record, lowering the needle, waiting for the first soft sound. Listening became an experience. And as decades passed, technology continued to evolve. By the mid-20th century, vinyl records became the standard. Long-playing records, or LPs, allowed more music to be stored on a single disc. Entire albums, stories told in sound, could unfold from beginning to end. The warmth of vinyl, the soft hiss beneath the music, created a sense of presence, as though the performance was happening just for you. Then another transformation quietly arrived. Magnetic tape. The cassette, small, compact, and portable. No longer tied to a stationary player. People could carry sound with them. They could record their own voices, their own music, their own moments. Listening became personal. In 1979, Sony introduced the Walkman, a small device with headphones, allowing individuals to step into their own private soundscape. For the first time, music moved with the listener. On walks, on commutes, in quiet moments alone. The world outside softened as sound filled the space within. Then, as the late 20th century unfolded, a new format emerged. The compact disc, or CD. Unlike vinyl or tape, CDs used digital technology. Sound was no longer stored as grooves or magnetic patterns, but as numbers. Encoded, precise, and remarkably clear. A laser read the disc, translating data into sound. There was no crackle, no hiss, only clarity. For many, this felt like the future. Songs could be skipped instantly, tracks selected with ease. Listening became more controlled, more flexible. And yet, the essence remained the same. A desire to hear, to connect, to revisit sound. As computers became more common, another shift began. The rise of digital files. MP3s, compressed audio, small enough to store and share. Music moved from physical objects to invisible data. Files could be copied, transferred, collected in vast libraries. Devices like the early MP3 players, and later the iconic iPod, held thousands of songs. Entire collections carried in a pocket. The act of listening became even more personal, even more immediate. A single click and sound appeared. No discs, no tapes, no physical medium. Just music waiting. And then, as the internet expanded, streaming emerged. Instead of owning music, people began to access it. Songs lived on distant servers, ready to be played at any moment. Platforms like Spotify and Apple Music made vast libraries available instantly. Millions of songs, just a search away. Listening became limitless. There was no need to store or organize or even choose in advance. Music flowed like water, endless and ever-changing. And now, even voices, stories, and quiet narratives travel through streaming. Podcasts like this one become part of that evolution. From the first etched groove to invisible waves of data, the journey of listening devices is a story of connection. A story of bringing sound closer. Closer to our homes, closer to our hands, closer to our inner world. Despite all the changes, something remains unchanged. The simple act of listening, of pausing, of noticing, of allowing sound to gently fill the space around us. Perhaps tonight, as you listen, you are part of that long story. A quiet continuation of something that began with a single voice, captured in tin so many years ago. And now, it travels effortlessly across time, across distance, to reach you. Rest here for a moment, in the gentle presence of sound, and simply listen. As this quiet moment comes to an end, there is nothing you need to do and nowhere you need to go. Let your breath remain slow and gentle, steady and calm. Inhale softly and exhale even more slowly. Feel your body becoming heavier, more relaxed with each breath out. If your thoughts begin to wander, just let them drift like clouds passing quietly through a still sky. You can stay here for as long as you like, resting, breathing, unwinding. And as you continue to relax, allow yourself to gently drift into a deep, peaceful sleep. Good night.